Welcome to Faithful Acres Farmhouse. My name is Kelsey, and today we are talking all about our homeschool. Now, I am going to be sharing with you today our curriculum choices for the 2025-2026 school year. And you may be thinking to yourself, wow, the school year just ended. We are about to enjoy summer break, which we are on currently. But for our homeschool, we actually homeschool year-round. And I'm going to explain why we do that and how we do it. But if you are interested in specifically the second grade curriculum choices that I choose, I will have them all time-stamped. I'm going to start first by sharing Memoria Press. I will also be using this for our kindergarten as well as the curriculum I made. I will be showing that a little bit later. And then I also have a whole separate section of what we do for enrichment and Bible, and that can be for all ages. So although you may not have a second grader or kindergartner, seeing how Memoria Press sets up their curriculum will help you if you do happen to have an older or younger kid as well. So before I jump into all of the pieces of Memoria Press, I just want to share a little bit about them. How the curriculum is set up is for classical education, so a heavy focus on literature, classical literature, rhetoric, and just making sure that your child can read and write, which is super important, and as well as do math. And that's obviously what we want for our kids, for our homeschool, and for Memoria Press. Obviously, homeschooling goes beyond that. It goes beyond the curriculum and really is just focused on what you do as a family, the types of values and morals that you are focusing on living out in your day-to-day life and how that affects your child as well. We want lifelong learners, not just classroom learners in our home. And I'm sure if you are homeschooling or if you are not homeschooling, you also want that for your children as well. So before I get into how we do those things outside of the classroom, why homeschooling is so important to us, I wanted to quick share, if you are someone, again, who has a child of a different age, Memoria Press is amazing, and it's very much set up in a similar sense for all of the grades. Now, once you get up to middle school and high school, your subjects are going to look different. They are going to be offering a lot more options. I'm not going to be talking about those. You can check those out on their website. I'm strictly going to be talking about what elementary has in store because it's set up the same, just with different books, and obviously it gets harder as the ages progress. So for us, for our homeschool year-round, why we choose to do that is because I don't like the pressure during the school year that we cannot have a break. We can't spend time with family as much because we need to be doing school. We can't go on as many field trips because we need to be doing school. I know that those are also important, that it's not just about getting the academic work done in the classroom, but there is still a weight that I feel falls on a homeschool parent when you have to teach the academic things and then you're taking all of these breaks. So our main reason is that I want to be able to take a break throughout the year whenever we need it, whenever the kids seem like they need a break, whenever I feel like I need a break. If we have something happen, like have a baby or go on a big vacation or go back to Nebraska to visit family, I don't want the pressure of having to either cram in all of our school before we leave or feel like we are behind because we took the time off. Another reason that we homeschool year-round is because I find that, and I have found in the past couple of weeks, because that's been our break, that my kids have already started to regress in their reading and their memory in math, which I know is very common when kids go on summer break. It's not something I'm worried about. It just proves to me that, the less that you use your skills, the more you are apt to forget. And of course, I want my kids to enjoy summer. I want them to enjoy outside, the weather, going to state parks, going to the lake, all the things. But again, that's why we homeschool year-round, because we can take those breaks in the summer, we can take them in the winter, and I don't feel like it is impeding on their school or causing issues in their schooling. I also have kind of a rhythm, not necessarily a strict schedule, because if I'm honest, I do really well and then it starts to fall apart. I have been going by a rhythm, And I want that rhythm to just be continued, because the more that we take breaks, the more we get out of that rhythm, the harder it is for my kids to get back in the rhythm. So if we take this long summer break, which is totally fine if you do, then it's going to be really hard to get them back into that rhythm I already have set. And my husband works, he's not at home, he doesn't help me with homeschooling. And so it just makes sense that we continue our daily rhythm and continue to take Thursdays, Saturday, Sunday off like we usually do with family. It's a family time, and just continue our rhythm so that that's not broken. It's not like my husband is home and we can go vacation all the time and we're choosing not to do that. I'm just simply continuing our rhythm. It also keeps the structure for our household, keeping that managed, and then also behaviors with my children. So our goal behind homeschooling is not to shelter our children, to keep them from the whole world. That's not our goal. Our goal is to raise them up and teach them about the faith and set these foundations for morals and values that God has for us. When children are so young, even through high school, they're so impressionable, and we want to create a positive family influence where they feel loved and we can nurture them to the best of our abilities, whether that be through their academics and going their speed, working with them, also focusing on eliminating behaviors and helping them to emotionally regulate. These are all things that are super important to us. We also don't want our kids away from us for 8 hours. I don't love what's happening in the public school system, but I'm not against public schools. I'm not someone who, hates on public schools. I was a public school teacher. My mom works in the public school. My sister works in the public school. So there is a lot of great people in the public school, a lot of great teachers. But what we are wanting is to just nurture and teach our children in a different way. We also want them to be involved in going on field trips more and learning outside of the classroom. We want a lot of play. We want a lot of outside time, less screen time. We are not drawn into the STEM movement. I think there's a lot of beauty that happens with STEM, but I feel like where schools are like, oh, we have a tablet for all the children, they get an iPad, they get their own computer, all their work is in Google Classroom. I don't love that. I don't want screens. I feel like screens, there are so many studies that show how bad it is for children, and yet this is something that schools are promoting, like, we have this, it's great. And so we wanted to eliminate that as well. So there are a lot of factors that go into why we're homeschooling. I'm not going to necessarily go into all of that, but all of that to say is that we are really focused on a faith-based home where our children can grow, develop, ask questions, and not necessarily be influenced by negative people, negative doctrines that won't help them grow in their faith. So let's jump into the curriculum. I will show you all of the things. So to start off, Memoria Press gives you a whole layout of the curriculum that you need to do. They have it all broken into weeks, what they want your child to do every day. And I actually really enjoyed this year, but I have found that my kids have gotten off from those days or those weeks. My son is still finishing up first grade reading. He's technically supposed to be a kindergartner. He just turned 6, but he is almost done, or maybe 3/4 done with the first grade reading. But in math, he's at the 2nd grade level. My daughter is at the 2nd grade level. Also, don't mind my 3-year-old who is on the floor making all sorts of noises playing. But I found that because they were advancing in certain areas and my son was a little bit behind in other areas, I decided to kind of use this as a general reference of kind of the process of what Memoria Press wants us to do and what books to go in order. But I don't follow this to a T. Instead, I have a sheet that I print out that I just fill in what we did for that day. So instead of trying to plan out our weeks and our months and then not be able to hit those goals or go past those goals, I just fill in what we do. So where to start? Oh goodness. Okay, so if you open up the curriculum manual, this is for 2nd grade, but again, it's very similar for 1st grade and kindergarten. They have Latin and grammar, reading, math, copywork and memory work, literature and enrichment, phonics and spelling, and then just additional supplements that you can do as well. And so how I have it broken up for us is we start with recitation in morning, where we go through the different recitations. We go through the Bible verses that we are memorizing. We do the pledge, we do a prayer, and what day of the week it is, the calendar day, all those things. And then we jump into our Bible time. Now the Bible time is with everyone. I will be showing you that curriculum in a little bit later of this part of this video. And then after that, we go into our enrichment, which switches off between history, geography, and science. So we do a different one of those each day. After we finish our enrichment, I do toddler songs with all of the kids. They all join in. We do little dance moves. We do about 15 minutes of movement and song, and that really helps to incorporate my 3-year-old, who will be 4 in July, and then my 2-year-old. And so that gets them going, moving, and then also a part of our homeschool as well. Now, if we're doing something in religion and there are pictures I can print off or something they can color, they join in. My 3-year-old actually joins in with memorizing the Bible verses, and she'll sit and listen. A lot of times I will use a kid's Bible too to have pictures that go along with the readings. We don't do the Memoria Press Christian because we are Catholic, and so I do a Catholic based Bible, which again, I will show you in a later part, but we don't do the Christian studies for Memoria Press. So after we do our toddler music, we have a snack, take a break, and that is when I get our spelling set up. Now for spelling, they have different workbooks. They have 3. They have their main workbook here. They have a practice sheet workbook and a supplemental workbook. Now, I don't follow their spelling exactly how they have it. You're supposed to be doing, I think, at least 2 of the workbooks a day, but I kind of adjust based off of if my kids are getting it or if they need more help. We mainly do the traditional spelling, and they are set up in 4 days with a spelling test on the 5th day. So for example, here is lesson 17. No, your new books are coming in the mail. They'll be here soon. And they have it in cursive as well. And then day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and then on day 5, you do your spelling test. Now, because we do school 4 days a week, I use this page for our spelling test. While my older kids are doing spelling, this is a subject that they can work on more independently. This is where I'm going to be doing kindergarten with my 3-year-old. So she'll be 4 in July. I started my son at 4 in kindergarten. Again, I don't have the expectation for them that they will be good at school and I will shove knowledge down their throat. If things are working, great, I'm gonna keep going. If it seems like, she's struggling with kindergarten, which we've already been doing stuff. So she loves to do school. She's actually really good at it, especially in math. So I want to, again, focus on that, lift her up, help her where in all of the areas that she needs help. Thank you. Again, I'm going to capitalize on that. She loves math. She's really good at math. I'm going to nourish that. I will help her in all the areas that she's struggling with, but I don't have this expectation that my kids have to start kindergarten at 4 and be super proficient. I want to nourish them where they can be nourished, and if things are working, awesome. So I'll be working with her then. And then after spelling, we take another break, we go outside, we come back and we do writing. Now, they have a little bit different books this year. They have famous quotes, or quotes from famous Americans that they copy in cursive. And then they also have a book which they had 2 of these for 1st grade where they learned cursive. Now, the kindergarten one has just regular penmanship, print, but in 1st grade with Memoria Press, they start to learn cursive. And that actually went really well. So they will be working on both of these books. They also have blank pages and a blank composition sketchbook where you can write about a story and then draw a picture. I didn't do a ton with that, but there is that option if you want to do that as well. So second grade is a lot more advanced in their reading. In kindergarten, they have Memoria Press Little Readers A through E. You actually do A through D in kindergarten, which are these 3 books, which you will see later on in the kindergarten portion. Now, I did have to order more from the kindergarten side, so I don't know if I'll make a separate video or if it will be in this video, the full explanation. I'll do an overview of what I have for kindergarten, but there is more coming. So they do have a workbook to go with their reader as well. And then once you get into first grade, you have the Reader E and Workbook E, but then the rest of the school year, which is about 3/4 of the year, you move into doing actual books. So in first grade, you start the train of doing books. So for example, my kids are reading Caps for Sale, Ping, Miss Rumpus, a whole line of books. And then there is a comprehension book to go with it. Well, they are continuing that train for second grade and are just doing books. So they will be reading a series of books. We have The High Hills, Sea Story, The Courage of Sarah Noble, Prairie School, Amelia Bedelia, and then they are also doing 4 books, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, 4 Beatrix Potter books, The Tale of Benjamin Bunny, The Tale of Johnny Town Mouse, and The Tale of Tom Kitten. So they will be reading their book, and as they're reading, they will be answering questions. So they'll be going through comprehension questions, vocabulary. This is where they focus on grammar and pronunciation, writing sentences, and focusing more on that aspect. So they have that's your stuff. So they have a workbook to go with each book that they are reading. So I have a whole series, a whole pile of books, and then they actually have 100 days of summer reading, and they have one for every grade. So I have one for kindergarten and first grade also. And then here's their English grammar practice. So they will be doing English grammar practice, the introduction to English workbook, and then continuing that through their student book that they are also reading. It also comes with a second grade literature dictionary, which is super awesome, and it also helps to create dictionary skills with your children. So they'll also be doing a big chapter book, The Little House in the Big Woods, and I'm pretty excited about that because I love the Little House on the Prairie books. Along with this, I also bought, this is a supplementary collection that you can get, and these are leveled readers. They're just classical stories in these beautiful little picture books that your child can read. So here's A Song for Aunt Polly from The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. There's another one, The Best Fence Painter, Riki Tiki Tavi Moves In. My kids love Riki Tiki Tavi, and that was actually a book that was part of the junior kindergarten program. So they have a preschool and then a junior kindergarten, and the actual book came with the junior kindergarten, and my kids love it. So they will love being able to read and have these beautiful illustrated books that are at their level. So I'm super excited about these. Again, this is just supplementary, which means it's just an addition, something you can add to. So something that is new starting in second grade is learning Latin. And they have a Latin copybook. And again, it's in cursive. And then they have their Latin workbook. They also sent a CD. We're gonna have to get a CD player to be able to listen to Latin. And they also gave a big stack of Latin flashcards. So I think that will be super cool. It will be especially cool if we are able to continue it through high school. It'll be also really cool if we continue Latin, stick with it, and when they are in middle school and high school, they can read papal encyclicals that are written in Latin. I also forgot to mention that in their handwriting and copywork, they have a cursive 1 copybook. So this is where they are going to be copying Bible verses. In the first grade one, they copied Bible verses and poems, which was also part of their recitation. Oh, this one also includes poems as well. And so I love that. But again, the more that they write, just the better off they will be. And I believe that if you can't read and write, you can't really do anything. Moving on to math. They have 5 books for 2nd grade. Now, the way that the Rodden staff works with Memoria Press is they did part of book 1 for kindergarten, and then for 1st grade, we ended on book 1 of Rodden staff's grade 2. It's kind of confusing, but if you go to their website, they have everything laid out. So they have workbook 2, 3, and 4. Again, we did grade 2, workbook 1 in 1st grade. And then they have 2 practice sheets. So this is just additional math problems that they will be working on. I have really enjoyed Rodden staff. It is slower. You work on skills for a long time, which I actually enjoy. I don't like feeling rushed and feeling like we're moving on to new concepts before my children have mastered it. And even if they haven't mastered things completely, I don't want them in this confused stage and then we just move on. So that's why I really like Rodden staff. Although again, compared to where they're supposed to be with the 2nd grade book, we are way ahead of that. So it's nice that you can kind of just move at the pace of your children. Now getting into enrichment, I'm going to start with art. My kids love the art cards. This is the 2nd grade art card. We have the kindergarten and the 1st, and they actually provide an enrichment teacher's book that goes along so that you can read about the artist and the piece of art as the kids are looking at it. I also have these 2nd grade art posters, so I'm really excited that we are going to be hanging those up and have a bigger picture than just our art cards. We also have from Memoria Press, The Patterns of Nature. This is a science book. And then also United States coloring book. Now we are going to be doing additional things. This is just what I chose from Memoria Press. So I have not ordered the religion that I'm going to be doing for 2nd grade specifically because being Catholic, this is where you get to finally have your first reconciliation and first communion. So I will be using Ascension Press's 2nd grade curriculum, but I'm also going to be continuing what we haven't finished here for 1st grade. And that is saints around the world. I love it. I love learning about the different saints. So do my children. And then they have a coloring page for each one that I will just copy and have the littles also color, and then some comprehension questions. This is Seton's. They have a catechism for each year, and it just goes into more depth. So here's Jesus and his miracles, and then we read this based off of what is happening with the liturgical year. So for example, when we read each Mass's reading. So on Monday, we'll do the first reading. Tuesday, we will do the Psalm and the 2nd reading. Wednesday, we do the Gospel. And Friday, we review. And so when we go over these readings, I will try to find, if possible, the area in the catechism that works with that. But then I will also find in the Bible, the kids one, if there are any pictures that go along with it. So for example, last week we did Psalm 100, which was fantastic because my kids, that is a psalm that they memorized with Memoria Press. So in Mass, they were able to recognize this is Psalm 100. This is the psalm we have been working on. And so obviously the Psalms aren't in the kids' Bible, there's not pictures to go along with those, but they're able to recognize. And then at church, because we went over all of the readings and then the Bible stories, we can elaborate on them and talk about them. They know what's happening during Mass, during our church service, which is amazing and what I want to continue. We also have God's Plan in Scripture curriculum that we used this year. We are finishing up with it. We're almost done. And it just goes through the Bible in chronological order and then has little activities for the kids and little questions that they're able to do. With that, there is a teacher's guide, and you can get this in different levels. So this was the beginning level. This storybook goes with all of the levels. So you're essentially reading the scriptures, reading about it, and then they're able to do at their level an activity and some pages that go along with the scripture that you read. We also have the same Great Adventure Kids Bible that it has one picture, but then it goes more in depth, and we read this as well. So we combine a lot of these things together to help create that fuller understanding of the Bible and what God is speaking to us. Along with that, we have geography skills for young Catholics, and this kind of goes into our other geography that we're doing, which is Passport to the World. And this, my kids love so much. They will just look through this book. So you go through these different countries. So here's Ireland. You learn about it. You learn about geography. You learn about what's there, what resources are there, food, languages that they speak. And then you learn about a saint from there or a cool church, cathedral, basilica, whatever it may be, a miracle that's happened there, just all sorts of things. And then they have a little passport that they get to add their sticker to once we go to that country. So we tend to do this over this, but we have been doing this. It provides more of your basic skills of answering questions, finding things on maps, working on identifying a map key, the compass, those sort of just basic skills, the directions. And then this actually takes you around the world and is just so beautiful. My kids love to learn about the different countries. We also have a history book. This seems like a lot. I'm so sorry if this information is overwhelming. Okay, you guys, this is the third time I am filming this portion of the video. My phone died, so I have been in the garden the last hour, pulling weeds, planting. It is so hot. And then when I came in and filmed, my microphone was dead, so there was no sound. So we are going to try again. I'm going to try to breeze through this because I know this video is already long. So during our recitation, after we do our Memoria press recitation, we do our prayer and the pledge, I read a poem. I have been reading one or two depending on how long they are. The kids love poems. I'm someone who actually really enjoys poems, and I want to expose them to as many different types of writing as I can. We already went through a child's garden of verses, and so we are on this one, but I also have other poetry books that I am going to grab from as well. During that time, I also want to get back to children's philosophy. This is from Word on Fire, so it is going to be religious based. This goes through the different philosophers throughout the ages. So we start with an introduction and the oldest philosophers. And we tried to do some of this last year, and it was a little bit too hard. And so I'm going to try again this year because I think it will be very fruitful. Again, I want as much exposure to my children for different thoughts and, you know, different sciences, and not necessarily sciences how we think of science now, but just classical sciences, and just expose them to as much as possible. So besides that, we do science. This is the other thing that we do for our enrichment. We do the good and the beautiful. We have gone through flowers and fields. We are now on wind and waves. And then when we finish this, they have a third one, and I can't remember what it is, but you alternate between the parent guide and the story. So we have learned about snow. We've learned about the different ways that you measure temperature and pressure. We've gone through tropical storms, rain and snow, rainbows. So this book has more information plus a video that goes with it and hands-on activities. So it's really cool. I have been enjoying that. And that is pretty much what we are going to be doing now to get into kindergarten. Again, I don't have everything that I need, but something that's really great about Memoria Press is you can buy everything that you need for that grade level in a set, or you can buy just the consumables. So what I do, because my daughter and son are at the same level, I buy one set and one consumable, but you can also buy each book individually. So because my son did somewhat of kindergarten, I don't have everything, but I do have all of the teacher's guides and the actual books that are needed. So I bought new consumables for my daughter. Here's just an example. This is book A. It goes through the different sounds and then the blends. And then along with this book, your little reader would also go with. And then you're also going to be working in this smaller book, and this is actually going to be used for kindergarten and first grade, and your children are going to be reading from that, or your child. And it also has assessments too. This is really great, a really great resource. But again, kindergarten goes through level A through D, first grade starting at E, and then goes into actual books. Other things in kindergarten, here's a nature reader, more science and animals. There is a phonics supplemental workbook. This is really good, just has some extra practice that your child can do for their letters and phonemic awareness. Here's B. There's a cut and paste book for practicing cutting, and then also, again, with your letters and sounds. So that is what I have for kindergarten. Again, I will be getting more in the mail soon. And then we are also going to be going through Foundations in Education, which is a curriculum that I created. This is book 4, which the first 3 books focus more on preschool, and then books 4 through 7 focus more on kindergarten skills. So how I have this set up is at the beginning of the day, there is a lesson checklist. So you'll go through calendar, Bible, reading, phonics, writing, math, science, a character checklist, and then calendar switches on and off. Once a week, you will be working on a social skill with your child. And so this is kind of how I have it set up. It's very open and go. There are sight words, things to cut out, little games, hands-on activities that you can choose to do or not. So we are going to be continuing with this book and then go all the way through book 7. Now, I did take the physical books off my website, but you can get the digital download and print it yourself or get it printed. It is $1 a book or $5 for all 7 books. So it's a really great deal. I wanted it to be affordable for everyone. I will have those linked down below. And then I just wanted to show you a little preview or a little bit of what we did for first grade. So my daughter is currently finishing Ping. This is the last of the first grade books. Here is their first grade spelling book. And this is just one of 3. There's a coloring book in there. There is the first grade teacher's guide. This is the Storytime Treasures. There are 2. There's Storytime Treasures and more Storytime Treasures. And this just has the comprehension questions, vocabulary, where they can write, work on actual grammar, possessives, nouns, showing possession, capitalization, punctuation, rewriting sentences, including the question, those sort of things. Here are a few other books my kids read. Caps for Sale. This is the one my son's on, Make Way for Ducklings. And then here's the other one, more Storytime Treasures. That seems to be kind of the main difference that I see between first grade and second grade is they don't have these books specifically, but a workbook to go with each book. So this kind of includes like 4 or 5 books, whereas the other one is a workbook per book. I also wanted to share that I am an affiliate with Memoria Press. I did purchase all of the curriculum on my own. They didn't send me a thing, but I love Memoria Press so much that I asked to join their affiliates program. So I will leave that information in the description box below. Thank you so much if you shop through my link. It allows me to have a small commission, which is one of the very few ways that I make a little money on the side. So hopefully this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. It is lunchtime. The kids, I can already hear, are coming. I appreciate all of the sweet comments, all of the encouragement. Please let me know what you are using. Let me know if you have any curriculum or any finds that you use that you just love and think that would be great in my homeschool room as well, or in our homeschool routine. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will try and leave everything in the description box below.